Hello, and welcome back to the Fae Banner Review, where we talk about how Fae can sometimes be the best game ever. Of course, when ignoring all of the things that people dislike about it, but they did good this time around. Today, we have the return of the Tea Time banner theme featuring a mixture of heroes, 3 houses, Thracia, and Engage content, which is quite the lineup of games. The same couldn't be said about the character choices, and as per tradition, I will be using this coveted line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day to rank the brand new Tea Time banner. Today's ranking will be based on how many days left are before the Choose Your Legends 9 banner, and if you want your days filled with awesome content, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, you'll have better summoning luck if you do. Thank you. Foremost and first, we have Veronica. Yep, I guess they wanted to get a new version of her out before her remix next month, and if that's the case, Legendary Veronica's remix is gonna be so bad. Let's see. Veronica comes with Princess Teapot, which is a slaying Canto remaining colorless tome with built-in Gale Force if she uses a rally or movement assist. Gets a bunch of stats during combat, upwards of 25 true damage and 15 true damage reduction based on the amount of bonuses and penalties between herself and the foe. And when she uses an assist, she grants Resonance Blades, Resonance Shields, and Breath to allies within 2 spaces of herself and the target. She also comes with a PRF special in Immurement, I'm not pronouncing that correctly, which is a 5 cooldown special that boosts her damage by 70% of her attack stat, nullifies pierceable damage reduction effects, nullifies guard, and at the start of the turn and after she takes an action, she inflicts speed and res penalties, discord, and feud on the closest foes and foes within 2 spaces of that target, and grants upwards of 80% special base damage reduction based on the amount of foes with the feud status. Using my very expansive vocabulary, I will now describe how I feel about this unit. Huh? I'm sorry, but this unit is way too absurd. So besides being an action economy unit, she can disable every drive support in the game for herself and allies, and have 80% unpierceable special damage reduction? Are you serious right now? I genuinely expect them to release effects that pierce special damage reduction at this rate, but at the very least it is locked to player phase only. But even then, feud is such an incredible debuff. If you are struggling against Rhea support, then she disables that. If you are struggling with a dual Marissa support, then she disables that as well. If you are struggling against legendary Black Knight support, well, you're still kind of screwed there. Veronica also comes with Sly Swift Sparrow, Speed Res Detect, Attack Speed Insight Hone, and a Reposition. Yeah, it was very much worth highlighting that skill. It's nothing we haven't already seen in the game, but that doesn't make it bad. Far from it, honestly. You could give this fodder to so many units since they're all really good, especially Reposition. You know, a lot of units really love that skill. Honestly, if you do get her, then you should probably fodder her. The fodder is that much better than the unit. Yep, it sure is. I am already dreading having to fight her. And other than that, that sure is Veronica. This unit is genuinely ridiculous, and I don't see a timeline where she isn't going to excel in basically every single game mode. Her support is super good and her combat is looking really strong too. And if she somehow ends up being really mid, then I will lose all hope in this game. Not that I really had much left, but still. Next, there's Felix, and you'll never believe how unique he is from his Brave version. Surprisingly a decent amount. I always wondered why they decided on Felix's gimmick being high threat range Gale Force since he's always been the loner type. Now he's the most outgoing and social person in the entire game. At least until you hear a special quote.
Leave my sight!
Let's see. Felix comes with Tea Time Lance, which is a double slaying lance that inflicts speed and defense penalties, sabotage, and discord on the closest foes and foes within 2 spaces of that target at the start of the turn, and after taking an action, he gets stats, true stats, even more true stats, and he gets 7 HP after combat. He also comes with True Lone Wolf. Of course that's what they call it. Of course that's what they're gonna call it. Yep, should have expected that one. Should have had my speed preempt there. Ha ha ha, do you get it? It grants Phantom Speed plus 7, 2 Gale Forces similarly to that of the original Lone Wolf, a la once after combat and once for taking an action. It inflicts Spectrum 5 on the foe during combat, 20% speed-based true damage and true damage reduction, an additional 20% true damage reduction if the foe's special goes off, and when he triggers a special, he neutralizes pierceable damage reduction effects. listen, I know I've been wrong before about some units in the past, but this Felix looks pretty mid. He still has a lot of the stuff that made Brave Felix good at his peak, but he's missing some aspects that really hold him back in my opinion. Compared to Brave Felix, he loses adaptive damage, distant counter, no guard, and his B slot got completely nerfed for some debuffs and some more true damage and true damage reduction. Yeah, that's not great. The original Lone Wolf allowed Felix to trap gamble in Aether Raids and get around Foresight Snare against Heimdallr, which really only applied to story mode currently. Now the B-Slot doesn't work on either of those like Brave Felix, which is an insane omission considering that was one of the strongest aspects of the original skill. Genuinely, I think this is one of the only times where a supposed upgrade of a PRF skill is strictly worse than the original, which is insane considering it's from Brave Felix of all units. I hereby deem you the Fraud Wolf. The true Fraud Wolf, in fact. But yeah, even with better combat capabilities, this really is a massive turnoff from the original in so many ways that in a strange way makes Brave Felix seem like a stronger unit. Of course, I don't think that's entirely the case since his combat is clearly stronger, and if you do want him for cleanup purposes in Aether Raids, he's definitely going to be a lot better than Brave in that regard. He's also a better fodder unit if you're not in need of wash seasonals. Felix also comes with Gust, perfect attack speed, and a brand new, not really new, C-slot in Tempest Burst, which is the same thing as Pulse Tempest F except on the first attack instead of the follow-up attack. They really love making these Tempest skills. In the span of a single year, we had 4 Tempest skills starting with Brave Felix and ending on T Felix. That's a fun fact for you. This skill only gives a special jump of 1 instead of 2 though, so wow, that's unique and cool, but they missed an opportunity to call it the True Pulse Tempest F. Also, I think I'm spoiled by Brutal Tempest because I still really prefer that Tempest skill over any of the others, but this one is still pretty good. With the right build and support, you can potentially get 2 specials off in one combat thanks to the first special jump. I do think it's pretty good overall, but that would require you having to fodder T Felix. So yeah, there's really no downsides here, and other than that, that sure is Felix. He's definitely far from unusable, but it's crazy just how much worse he feels in comparison to his Brave version from a year ago. Well, he always has Johanna Lance at least.
Leave my sight!
And then there's T. Saline, and she's the T-mote of the banner, and I wish I was clever enough to come up with that on my own. Thank you, comment section, once again. I continue to get upstaged by my funny fan base. Let's see. T. Saline comes with Teapot Plus, which is a Gale Force Assist red tome that grants Insighted and Breath to the unit and any allies within 2 spaces of the unit and target after using an assist. It grants Spectrum 5 during combat and upwards of 25 true damage based on the number of bonuses and penalties between the unit and foe. This weapon is actually obscene. We knew it was going to have some support in action economy based on the Fate channel, but it also has 25 true damage tacked onto it as well. This weapon genuinely does everything and clears every existing inheritable red tome in the game currently. But as for Saline herself, what's a new way of saying generic bad? You've heard it enough times already, but being a generic doesn't leave a lot to be desired, although that's putting it lightly. That said, I think Saline at the very least is a lot more workable thanks to this weapon being as supportive as it is. Not to mention her high res stat and flyer mobility can allow her to run skills like Havoc, Detect, Shadow Shift or Smite, Crux skill, Soaring Echo, and so on that elevates her above the average generic. Of course, when the average generic unit is equivalent to that of a coughing baby, it might not sound that impressive, but it's definitely a lot more workable than most other generics at the very least, which I think is really nice. I don't think you'll hate yourself for using her. Saline also comes with a Rally Up Res, Speed Res Rain, and Attack Speed Mastery, and that's also fantastic. Attack Speed Mastery has been locked to Nephany, and there hasn't really been a good alternative to the skill for ranged flyers, so having it on a demote is a really good choice. Genuinely, this is the first time in a while that I really have nothing bad to say about a generic demote. She's just great on every single front. Man, I sure wish there was something I could say here to fill this part of the video with. And other than that, that sure is Saline. I think people would have preferred if she had some sort of PRF to call her own, but she's far from unusable despite being generic. And in my eyes, that's better than the alternative. The alternative is being bad. And last on the banner, we have T, Ingrid, and Nana, and I don't know what the correlation is here. Someone smarter and funnier and subscribier than me can figure it out in the comments section because I really don't know what makes this harmonic work. Oh, wait, I got it. They're both maids. I am so smart. Let's see. They come with Silver Spoon, which is a slaying Gale Force Assist axe that grants dodge, null follow-up, and reflex to allies within 2 spaces of the unit and target after using an assist, and I think you've heard enough. This weapon is probably already really good in your eyes. She gets a bunch of stats during combat, upwards of 25 true damage and 15 true damage reduction based on bonuses and penalties between herself and the foe, a special jump of 1 before her first attack, and she gets 7 HP after combat. They also have a PRF A-slot in Lady Knight that grants Canto Distance, turns potent attacks into potent follow 100%, upwards of another Spectrum 11, 12 extra true damage and true damage reduction, an additional 12 true damage reduction if the foe triggers a special, and Flared Sparrow, on top of a harmonic button that grants herself extra movement, as well as Resonance Blades and empathy to herself and allies from 3 houses and Thracia once every 3rd turn. How far gone is considered far gone when Ingrid can turn a 67 times 2 attack with a special trigger into 6 total damage? Obviously, the mid-turn reflex is really fantastic and will already get a lot of mileage on its own, but her combat capabilities are actually really good too. She has 3 layers of damage reduction, which in my mind tells me she's going to be really annoying to deal with, especially since she has really high threat range and a refreshable button. She's going to put in a lot of work, and I didn't even mention it with the other units yet, but one of the nice things about giving out mid-turn bonuses is that you can avoid units like Mythic Loki, or rather you can still get solid statuses after the start of the turn, so you can still put up a good fight. I really do like what they offer a lot, and the cope in me says she could beat units like Legendary Black Knight with how much true damage reduction she's getting. And the realist in me says this isn't going to make dealing with him less of a chore, but rather double down on the stupidity.
There's 2 of them!
Ingrid also comes with Rally Up Defense, Haze Slice, Potent Assaults, and a brand new, not really that new, C-Slot in Attack Speed Outcry Dull, which is Attack Speed Insight Hone, but it grants Dull instead of Insight. Wow, that sure is a skill. It's good, of course, but there's only so much commentary I can make on a skill that's just a slightly different shade of expensive and limited because they don't ever put nice things in the normal pool. Is it too much to ask for attack speed finish 3, IS? Dilution aside, the dull status to everybody and some extra attack and speed during combat is very good. The rest of the fodder is also really good and straightforward. Potent Assault is one of the go-to melee cavalry B slots at the moment. Haze Slice is fantastic for any initiator. Rally Up Defense. That's okay. You can keep it. But yeah, you really can't go wrong with any of the fodder here. And, yeah. Do you guys want me to bring up momentum again? And other than that, that sure is Ingrid and Nana. They're extremely strong, and I expect them to last a good while. Reflex is just incredible support, and she's still a Gale Force assist unit, so I can't imagine she'll go bad anytime soon. At least 4 months minimum instead of the usual 3. And then there's the free stuff, and who doesn't like free stuff? This time around, we have T. Finn, and he's genuinely so peak. It's too bad he's going to get foddered off by every single player in the game because he has a sword variant of Saileen's weapon. A free sword with Gale Force support and 25 true damage is so strong. These inheritable weapons are going to be carrying a lot of units for a long time. You can make a bunch of red tomes and sword units into a pretty decent support unit, and flat 25 true damage is pretty good. Maybe. I don't know with this game anymore. Worst case scenario, you can make Finn and all the others a supportive enough unit to scrape by if their combat isn't enough. And it most likely isn't enough. Finn also comes with Shove, Speed Defense Clash 3, and Speed Defense Snag 3, and it's fine enough, I guess. Not really, no. The real highlight is the weapon, and it's so good that it makes up for the rest, although Snag pre-fodder is still good. We also have the Sacred Seals and the Wrath and Speed Defense Prime, and they sure are okay. It definitely beats Arouse Speed Res, that's for sure, but they're nothing that great. Speed Defense Prime is still nice, though, since it grants extra speed and defense in the seal, and some units do like that. As for Wrath, I mean, if you like, that, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, yeah, sure is. I can't even cope with this one. It's just there, I guess. Whatever, it's fine. It's a filler seal. The end.
Leave my sight!
And now that we've gone over the brand new T units, I think it's time we rank the banner on the line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day. And would you look at that? The brand new Tea Time banner has earned a 10 out of 10 on the line graph. I don't remember how much further out the CYO banner is, but it should be at least 10 days. And you may be wondering to yourself, should I spend my orbs irresponsibly on this banner? And I sure can definitely answer that one for you. Honestly, it might be worth it. I know I've been saying to wait for the Choose Your Legends line banner first, and I still think you should. That said, this banner is genuinely really strong, and there are units on here that will be great in many places. Of course, the two standouts being T Veronica and T Ingrid. Veronica being able to inflict feud upwards of 3 times in one turn is really insane for summoner duels, and even Aetherids for shutting down so much drive support. Not to mention her combat capabilities are absurd because of how much damage reduction she has baked into her kit. Ingrid similarly is also a really great support and nuke that, while not arguably as strong as Veronica, is still fantastic in her own right. Even Celine has fantastic fodder for any red tome and range flyer and could be worth grabbing a copy of if you have any units you care about in those archetypes. And yeah, Felix, yeah, he's there. Also, it's the T theme, so it definitely clears every other banner this year by default. Still, I think if you do want to summon on the banner, then you should at least wait to see what Choose Your Legends 9 is offering in a week or so. It could still be less enticing than the T banner, but it's always better to be informed in case you end up wanting something on there instead. Although, I don't think I need to keep saying that, seeing as I've said this exact same thing for the past several banners, but the difference is that those banners were really bad. True bad. Also, every emblem except Ike is going to be rerunning at the end of the month, so if that entices you too, you should probably save. And of course, the Hero Fest banner, but my gut feeling is that they're going to absolutely destroy Camilla really soon since they reran her 2 times in the span of 4 months, which is unusually quick. She's still worth summoning for. There really are a lot of banners to be on the lookout for, TBH, 2BH, to be quite H. The true lookout.